Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. What you're seeing here on the screen is a bomb cyclone. This is Storm Sirion, and it's about to hit the UK and France. And you can see it's pretty scary looking. And so we're going to be taking a look at that. We're also going to be taking a look at flash flooding that's been taking place in Ireland and a few other places. Ireland and the UK recently have been hit with a lot of rain and flooding, and it's like really starting to catch my attention. Like it already did, but it's like it's still happening, and this is like now a new wave of flooding that's going to be taking place in the UK, probably France, and already again in Ireland. So we're going to take a look at this. Before we do, I actually want to start with Israel because there's a lot of things going on here with this war. Every day there's new developments, and across the world there's more and more hostility and actions being taken against Jews, and it feels like we're just further and further descending into chaos in a spiraling fashion. So first, let's actually look at this. So there's this update today. Today is day 26 of the Israel-Hamas war. And so far in this ground operation, there's been 15 Israeli soldiers that have been killed in the ground operation. That doesn't include those that were killed on the first day of the war when Hamas attacked. They crossed the border. They killed. They got into at least one Israeli military base, and they killed military personnel, took others hostage, and then, of course, they slaughtered civilians. But as part of this ground operation that just started a couple days ago, there have been 15 Israeli soldiers that have been killed. Now, I've been waiting for this for a while. The Institute for the Study of War, they do a really good job at putting out information about these different conflicts and putting together maps like this one. I used to refer to them all the time when I was like more closely following the Ukraine war. But just now, this is the first time I'm noticing it, that they have this map for the Israel-Hamas war. And as of right now, on their website, this is where we're at right now. We're on their website. They only have what's going on in Gaza, but on X, they have what's going on in the West Bank and other places. So we'll check that out in a little bit. Okay, so this is what's going on right now. This is the Gaza Strip, right? This is where Hamas operates out of, in case you don't know, or this is new to you. And essentially what's happened was they amassed forces around the Gaza Strip. And they told everybody north of about this line right here. I don't think that this is the line. Maybe it is, this blue line. I think this is a river. But they told everybody roughly north of about this area to evacuate south, like all civilians. And so many of them did. As they were retreating south, Hamas was bombing the cars and killing people and putting up blockades to keep civilians in the north because they want civilian casualties, because it'll cause more outrage throughout the world. But anyway, it seems like most of them have been able to evacuate below this line ahead of the ground invasion. And it took a while for the ground invasion to take place. I think it was like on day 21, 22, 23, something like that. It's only been a few days. And now that's underway. And so what Israel has done is they've created this right here, this closed military zone represented by these blue lines right here that go around the Gaza Strip, which means, as far as I understand, that all these towns around the Gaza Strip have been evacuated. I know that I've heard that in the case of Sderot. I think it was on I-24 News that I was watching that. So I'm assuming that that's probably the case with all these different towns that they've been evacuated. Now, this northern part that Israel is focusing on, where you have Gaza City, you can see these light blue areas. This is where Israel is advancing. And so now there's a new area right here. Before today, Uh, all that was on my radar is troop movement up here and taking over this area, and then in this corner in the northeast, and then down here. But now you have a new one right here. And to be fair, it looks like this is basically farmland. Um, you can see that like there's houses and stuff over here, but they haven't reached that yet according to this map. But now here's a new area where they're going into Gaza. Okay, so this is what they're doing. What is this light blue? Okay, so there's this kind of like medium blue where they definitely are, and then this like lighter blue is claimed Israel clearing. So I guess that means that the Institute for the Study of War hasn't been able to confirm it, but like you have this light blue area right here, and then over here, and this is more significant in its size. There's two main roads that go from the north to the south, and as you can see, Israel has reached this road, and no doubt they've put up, probably a military checkpoint or road blockades. And then there's this other one that runs along the coast, and it seems like they're trying to make their way to that one to totally cut off any movement between the north and the south. Now you may notice that there's this icon right here, and it says Al-Shifa Hospital. So why would they have that there? Well, it's because, let's see. Now, this is an official IDF video. They're saying, here's the hospital right here, Al-Shifa Hospital, and that Hamas is essentially using it as its like main headquarters underneath. And they put together this graphic where you have tunnels and you have rooms, and it's essentially a cover. The hospital is a cover for their command center directly underneath it. So that's why the Institute for the Study of War has that right here. And I would assume that the ground forces are going to continue to make their way and then clear that out. Or maybe they'll bomb it. I don't know. Maybe they'll clear it of civilians and then bomb it. I have no idea. We'll just have to wait and see. But if there was, I guess, a headquarters or an area that they have to destroy and take over, it seems like it would be this hospital right here. Okay, so this is where we're at as far as the Gaza war goes. Israel is entering, and it seems like it's making pretty good progress. Okay, now this is on the Institute for the Study of War's X account. Excuse me. And it shows clashes taking place in the West Bank. There is action taking place there. So you have all these like these icons that are a circle with a rifle inside of it. That's a site of small arms combat. So you have a bunch up here in Jenin, and then also in Nablus, and then someplace right here north of Ramallah. And then in Ramallah, which is the capital city of the West Bank, there are demonstrations taking place there. Okay, so there is stuff going on in the West Bank as well as the Gaza Strip. Excuse me. Okay, now, this is on Israel 365 News, but you can find this many other places as well. Hamas official, we will repeat October 7th until Israel is annihilated. Which is a really interesting claim because this is what the Gaza Strip looks like right now. So I don't know how he thinks that that's going to take place, especially if this area around the Gaza Strip has been cleared and everyone's been evacuated, because it's this area that they infiltrated on October 7th. So the bar's been raised just a little bit. If they wanted to repeat October 7th, they'd have to like go beyond this Israeli closed military zone. So I have no idea what he's talking about. But whatever. Okay, so this is what he said. Senior Hamas official Ghazi Hamid told Lebanon's LBC TV on October 24th that the terror group would continue to carry out massacres like the one it carried out in southern Israel on October 7th until the Jewish state is destroyed. Okay. Quote, Israel is a country that has no place on our land. We must remove that country because it constitutes a security, military, and political catastrophe to the Arab and Islamic nation. It must be finished, said Hamid, according to a translation of the interview provided by the Middle East Media Research Institute. And you can watch that on X. Quote, he continues, the Al-Aqsa flood, which is Hamas's name for the October 7th mass terror attack, is just the first time, and there will be a second, a third, a fourth, because we have the determination, the resolve, and the capabilities to fight, he said. I guess only time will tell. Again, I don't know how you're going to be able to do that again. But okay. Now there's this video that came out, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know how credible it is. So this is on the Mario Nalfal account, and the person that's talking, according to Mario, he says, video above is of Abdul Bari Atwan. He is the editor-in-chief of Rai al-Yom and former editor-in-chief of Al-Quds Al-Arabi. While he has made some sensationalist claims in the past, he is recognized for a fascinating 1996 interview with bin Laden. I will add more details about ... Okay, so take this with a grain of salt, but if he's right, then I don't know. I guess we're going to be seeing some things. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to read the subtitles here. According to what I've seen, told by my sources, Hezbollah and perhaps Iran as well have issued a warning to America that if this war of aggression, genocide, and ethnic cleansing in the Gaza Strip does not stop, we will enter into battle. You have deadline until Thursday or Friday's dawn. If you do not stop the war, we will go into the battle. Okay, so there you go. So this is a journalist who's made sensationalist claims in the past. That doesn't mean that he's not right, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. But according to him, Hezbollah and perhaps Iran as well will step in before dawn on Friday or possibly on Thursday. So if that's the case, then okay, here we go. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, it wouldn't be too hard to believe, though, because there's been a bunch of stuff put out by Hezbollah, including this video right here. That's Hezbollah's leader, and he walks in front of the Hezbollah flag. Okay, this is from OSINT Technical. Earlier today, and this was put out on the 29th, so a couple days ago. Earlier today, Hezbollah released a video with some certainly interesting directorial decisions featuring its leader Hassan Nasrallah passing in front of the group's flag. To quote at Kyle J. Glenn, quote, Hezbollah dropping Nasrallah like a Marvel end credits scene villain. Yeah, this does look like one of those final scenes at the end of the credits of a Marvel movie. Which it's funny because we're actually doing a Marvel marathon right now. But we have to stop at Doctor Strange and what's it called? Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because that's like when things just like really, really went downhill. And then Thor, Love and Thunder, that was horrible. Like as far as just like getting really dark and also losing just their ability to make interesting movies. Anyway, so they put out this video almost as though it's a warning or a sign of things to come. But then there's also this. This is from Intel Doge. Constant videos from Hezbollah hyping up a statement from Nasrallah this Friday. it's honestly starting to get a bit ridiculous. So on the propaganda front, it seems like Hezbollah is ramping up. And I'm not going to play the audio, but it's set to like this kind of like dramatic, cinematic music. The part that catches my attention is it's coming up in just a minute, where it shows right here the Dome of the Rock as part of this little like montage or these clips of Nasrallah. So I have no doubt, and it doesn't seem like anybody else does either. The professionals and experts that are following this, that Hezbollah is going to join. It seems like it's just a matter of time. The ground invasion has started. They're advancing. And like I've said, I think that they're waiting just so that they can have as much justification as possible and get as much rage as possible behind their side, so that they'll come off looking like they were restrained. Like we waited. Israel even started the ground invasion. We still didn't do anything. Now we you've forced our hand. Now we have to do it because it's gone this far. So I think that that's the card that they're playing, like as I've shared before. Okay, Aurora Intel. Houthis have published footage of their ballistic missile, drone, and cruise missile launches towards Israel from Yemen. So I discussed this in a previous video, how Yemen has fired rockets toward Israel. This actually happened a while ago, and those rockets, not really, those missiles, rockets, whatever they were intercepted by the USS Carney, but they continue to do so. And I did the video talking about how they've essentially stopped just short of declaring war on Israel. When I say Yemen, I'm talking about the Houthi group, because Yemen is in a state of like civil war, and there's different groups claiming control of the country. But it seems like the most powerful group are the Houthis, and so they've said that they're going to attack Israel until Israel stops its ground invasion, and they have fired missiles at Israel. And it turns out, according to Visegrad 24, that one of those missiles landed in Jordan. Breaking: a missile launched by the Houthis in Yemen toward Israel has hit Jordan. The Quds 3 cruise missile flew over Saudi Arabia before hitting Jordan. Which I wondered about that, because when you look at Yemen, here, let me turn on the borders and labels. Yemen is right here. The Houthis controlled this part of the country, including the capital of Yemen. And so if these are like being fired from land, which I assume that they are, it would have to go over Saudi Arabia. It'd have to go over like Mecca. Mecca's right here. And they're hitting, the last that I checked, they've hit this port town of, let me make sure I pronounce it right, Eilat, right here on the northern tip of the Red Sea. So I don't know. I'm not a military expert when it comes to missiles, but it would seem like if it goes in a straight line, it would basically go over Mecca to hit Eilat. But anyway, so that's going on. According to the Jerusalem Post, the Israeli Defense Force sends warships to Red Sea after aerial attacks from Yemen. And we already have U.S. Navy ships there, but now the Israeli Navy are sending ships into the Red Sea. So somewhere over here, maybe off the coast of Yemen, or I have no idea where. Maybe they just have to be over here in order to shoot down incoming cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and I don't know where drones would be launched from, but anyway, so you have the IDF over there now. Here's another development. This is today. Jordan recalls its ambassador to Israel in protest of war in Gaza. I'm sharing this just because, Israel is becoming further, I guess, isolated. More action is being taken against it. Um, and basically, support against Israel is galvanizing and solidifying. So that's an interesting development. Okay, let's talk about the United States and how we're moving military equipment and troops and assets into the region. This is from Duane Deng or Duan Dang or Duan Deng. The two carrier strike groups, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower and USS Gerald R. Ford, are only about 425 nautical miles apart in the Mediterranean Sea. So we already knew that the USS Gerald R. Ford, along with his strike group, have essentially reached the eastern part of the Mediterranean. And according to this graphic, they're right here. And I don't think that they're going to come much closer because from what I've seen, Hezbollah has the capability to launch, missiles or whatever, a certain distance away from where they're at. And so I think they're trying to stay out of range. But here you have the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, which is also an aircraft carrier. These are two aircraft carriers along with their strike groups. So we have these two that are currently in the Mediterranean. Not only that, but also from Duan Deng, USS Bataan, LHD-5, and USS Carter Hall, LSD-50, are expected to remain in the Red Sea for an extended period as part of the U.S. naval buildup in the Middle East. Two defense officials confirmed to USNI News Monday. And I can't remember what these are called. I know it looks like an aircraft carrier, and I guess it kind of is, but they're actually called, let me look it up. I think it's like amphibious assault ship or something like that. Yeah, I'm right. It's a Wasp class amphibious assault ship. So as you can see, if I can find it again, you have aircraft that can take off and land on these as well, but it's not like a full-size aircraft carrier. And I think the Marines conduct a lot of like operations from this, like their aircraft launching from these ships. So you have this in the USS Carter Hall in the Red Sea. And I assume that the USS Carney is still there as well. All right, this is new. This is from OSINT Defender. The Al-Tanaf military base used by the U.S. forces in southern Syria near the border with Iraq and Jordan has reportedly just been targeted by Iranian-backed militias with 2 kamikaze attack drones. This is now likely the 4th attack on American troops in Syria within the last 12 hours. Okay. So, yeah, we have our bases and our troops that are being attacked in the Middle East, and it seems like that's probably just going to ramp up, which begs the question, what's that going to lead to? What's the United States going to do in response to that? Is that by itself going to escalate things? I don't know, but it's not good. This is from Tammuz Intel. Akram al-Ka'abi, the Secretary General of Nujabaa, in a statement, the Islamic resistance in Iraq took a decision to liberate Iraq from all foreign military presence, and there will be no standing down. So, I mean, I don't know if that's already kind of what they were trying to do, because I think even before the war, there's been attacks and stuff on U.S. forces. That's been my understanding, but I guess maybe this just means they're going to take it more serious now, and now they're really going to try to get the U.S. and whoever else is operating in the Middle East out of there. So we have some escalations taking place against U.S. forces. Trey Yingst, 26 days into the war, Hamas is still firing on central Israel. Sirens in Tel Aviv. Yeah, let's take a look at that. So here we are on Seva Adom. This is like a red alert website um, where you can keep track of these rocket attacks in real time, or if you're in Israel, you can use it to be notified if a rocket is coming to your area. And it shows you here, I wish it went further back, but it shows you all the alerts within the past 24 hours. So at the time that I'm recording this, which is almost noon on the 1st of November, 3 hours ago, there was this attack that took place, which was a sizable attack. This is like a medium-large attack from my point of view. Me trying to track these rocket attacks and compare them in size. This seems to be kind of like a medium-large attack that just took place. And in total, in the past 24 hours, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's been 12 separate like rocket attacks. And 8 hours ago, this is a pretty big one. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the biggest one that I've seen has been 32, a 32 line attack. Second place, 21. Third, 15. And then this one is a 13. So this is on the larger side. It actually looks even bigger than the one that we were looking at before. So I don't know. When you look at the videos and you look at the pictures of Gaza, and it doesn't represent the entire area, obviously, but Israel has decimated so many different buildings and locations. The airstrikes have been really intense, and now we have the ground invasion that's taking place, and yet somehow they're still able to fire these rockets. It's insane. And I've asked before a million times, how many more do they have? How many more do they have? How long is this going to go on for? They're still firing rockets as though like nothing's happened. It's crazy. But yeah, okay. So day 26, after everything that's happened, and they're still firing rockets. Speaking of rockets, here's a video. A lot of times we've wondered, like, okay, so exactly what are these rockets doing? Are they killing people? And occasionally they do. You know, they're not particularly effective, I don't think, at killing people. But here's a video. It says Hamas terror rocket almost kills people traveling on Highway 4. Miraculously, only light injuries. So let me go back here, just driving along. Oh, boom, there's a rocket that lands right on the highway. Could you imagine this being your life? You're going to work or you're going to run some errand, and then a rocket explodes in the road ahead of you. Gosh. Okay, and then I don't know if this is true, but the Olive account, I think is pretty good as far as like accuracy and reporting true things. So hashtag Israeli Air Force aircraft dropped another batch of leaflets over Khan Yunis, southern Gaza. So remember what we've talked about before, that the Israeli Air Force told everybody in the north of about right here, north of like this line, to go south for their own protection. But this was dropped in Khan Yunis. Let me just double check. That's what it was, right? Yeah, Khan Yunis, which is actually right here. So I'm going to have to question that just a little bit, even though I trust this account. Because it would seem to me like it's too soon for them to do anything down here. And it's like, it's pretty deep into the Gaza. Well, I don't know. Maybe they're just talking about the fact that they're going to start doing airstrikes down here. Maybe that's what it is, because I don't know what the contents or what the message is on those leaflets. And I don't think that the the post says what it says. Yeah, Mystery asks, what does it say? So anyway, we'll have to keep an eye on Khan Yunis. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, here's some video. Israeli troops and armored vehicles are storming the city of Jenin in the West Bank once again tonight. So Jenin is a larger city in the West Bank, and it's up here in the north, Jenin, right here. There was already a really large raid earlier this year. So large that I actually put it on my Second Coming timeline because there hadn't been a raid that large, I think, in like 20 years. Well, and it's because they've been like strengthening their forces, creating rockets and doing that kind of thing, organizing. And so Israel made an incursion and tried to take care of that earlier this year. But now with this going on, there's more and more action taking place in the West Bank. And there's lots of videos. There's been a lot of videos throughout this war like this, where you see these armored vehicles just like speeding through the streets and essentially them arresting people. Okay, now there's been some pretty worrisome things happening outside of Israel. Like I've said before, right now is really not a good time to be Jewish, no matter where you live, because there's so much anti-Semitism. And it's not just in Israel. It's in the United States. It's in Europe. Seemingly, it's all throughout the world. And just imagine, let's do this little exercise as we go over the next few tabs on my Google Chrome right here. Imagine that instead of Jewish, replace that with member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm afraid because I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Imagine that this was happening to us. Homes in Paris marked with Magen or Magen David symbols, which I guess is a different name for this Star of David right here. The current phenomenon that began in Berlin, the former capital of the Third Reich, has now spread to Paris, with at least 78 blue Magen David symbols recently sprayed onto the walls of Jewish stores and homes. Additionally, anti-Semitic graffiti was discovered in 2 suburbs of Paris over the weekend. France, which is home to the largest Jewish community in Europe, along with the largest Muslim community, has seen a frightening sharp surge of anti-Semitism in recent weeks, with 819 incidents since October 7th, almost double the number of incidents the entire year of 2022. And I haven't really shown it on this channel, but if you go on X, it seems like France, most of all, compared to all other European countries, are having these like rallies in support of Hamas and the Palestinians. France has it really bad. There have been a lot of demonstrations and basically demonstrations that have broken out into riots. I mean, you do see it in other places, but it's particularly bad in France. And now you have this going on. Imagine if like they were spray painting, I don't know, the Angel Moroni, or the new church symbol or something like that on your house or your business. It is not a good time right now to be a Jew. And it's probably all in preparation for the second coming. They're really, really going to appreciate when the Savior comes and all the enemies of Israel are destroyed. Well, when I say enemies of Israel, all the wicked are going to be destroyed. All the people that would do stuff like that would spray paint a symbol of your religion on your house or your business. There's going to be like this big, I think, catharsis. Let me just make sure I'm using that right again. Catharsis. definition. The process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotions, such as pity and fear. The process of releasing strong emotions through a particular activity or experience. So if I'm understanding it right, catharsis is kind of like when you get through, it's kind of like when you get through the climax of something and it's like, whoa, you're just like, it's that moment afterwards where you feel relief, I think, and maybe deep happiness, appreciation, things like that. Yeah. It is most commonly used today to refer to the purification and purgation of thoughts and emotions and to a resulting emotional state that results in renewal and restoration. Yeah, I think I'm right. I think that's exactly what they're going to feel when Christ comes. There's going to be an intense catharsis throughout the entirety of the Jewish world. Okay, from Sprinter, a banner in support of the Palestinian people with the message, "No Halloween this year. The horror is real," appeared at the entrance to Chicago in the United States. And then it says, and then at the bottom right, it has hashtag Save Palestine. So here it is in the United States. This is from Nexa, a Jewish cemetery in Vienna has been set on fire and desecrated. The Jewish part of Vienna's central cemetery was set on fire last night, and that symbol was drawn on the outside of the cemetery wall, the head of Austria's Jewish community said. This is from Aviva Klompas. The pro-murder, pro-kidnapping mob is targeting and harassing Jewish students at Harvard. And not only are they doing it, but they're doing it with the talit. Remember the talit? This is essentially what they patterned the Israeli flag after, was the talit. But he's just trying to, it says, Jewish students at Harvard surrounded by anti-Israel protesters and cornered when trying to get away. That is so horrible. Now, of course, we don't have the full context of everything that's happened here. Not that would give any justification for doing this. Well, this was obviously pre-planned. They went out and they bought or stole, I don't know, talits in order to do this. Of course, maybe there's been a lot of like provocative things on the Israeli side, but that still wouldn't, like if this guy is like he's known on campus for being like particularly inflammatory or something like that, but that still wouldn't justify what they're doing here at all. Okay, meanwhile, in China, I've seen some stuff about this popping up. Damian Simon, here's basic visual showcasing China's PLA flights into Taiwan's air defense identification zone through October 2023. So in other words, there's been a lot of concern that with the war in Ukraine and the West being, focused on Russia and what it's doing in Ukraine, and now with the Israel-Hamas war breaking out, which further divides the West's attention, especially the United States, it may be a good time for other people like China to go ahead and focus on their goal of taking Taiwan, because everyone knows that they want Taiwan back. They view Taiwan as a renegade province of China. Ethnically, they're the same people, but Taiwan didn't go along with the communist revolution, is my understanding, and they've remained an independent country supported by the West. So, yeah, China's probably viewing this as a good time to maybe take action on Taiwan. Then I have this one right here. This is from Ian Ellis. China launches major military exercises encircling Taiwan. 37 PLA aircraft violated Taiwan's air defense zone, the fifth most this year. 11 plus warships, including a carrier strike group and surface action groups underway east of the island. I think China only has one aircraft carrier. I'm not sure about that. Day one of unannounced, unscheduled drills. Now, to be fair, I haven't done the work to like verify this, but I assume that this is true just because I've seen it a few different places on X, and it wouldn't be too surprising. So maybe I'll look into that further next time. But this is also concerning. It's starting to look like kind of like World War II in a way, where you have a couple different major fronts. In World War II, you had Europe, but you also had the Pacific. In Europe, you had both Germany and you had Italy that were working together. So in a way, just it's like you have these like potentially three different fronts. There's also been talk about North Korea. Would they want to make some kind of move? I don't know if that's the case, but all these people that have kind of been like, all these different countries that have been restrained and have feared acting because the United States, what the United States or the West would do, I think they're gaining more courage because more and more fires are breaking out across the world. So these are interesting times. Now let's go ahead and let's talk about what's going on as far as weather and floods go. So this is from Nahel Belgers. From an innocuous looking low over northeast U.S. to a powerful bomb cyclone menacing northwest Europe in less than 48 hours. Thanks to a powerhouse 200 plus mile per hour jet stream, Storm Syrian's 3,000 mile journey across the Atlantic will be quick and explosive. So just to explain what you're looking at here, viento, that's wind. So these are like wind speeds. The rest of it, I don't know. Well, I think this is wind speeds. Viento in 850 HPA. I have no idea, but whatever, you can tell that this is not looking good. Let me read a couple things here. So, screaming jet stream over northeast will fuel bomb cyclone Syrian, threatening UK, France with 70 to 100 mile per hour wind. And that is hurricane force wind. If we go to the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale used in the United States, a Hurricane 1 would be 74 miles per hour or greater. And then a Category 2 hurricane would be 96 to 110 miles per hour. So we're looking at wind speeds between a Category 1 and Category 2 hurricane in the UK and France. So that's a little bit concerning. What is a bomb cyclone? The term bomb cyclone comes from the meteorological term bombogenesis or explosive cyclogenesis. This happens when a storm system's central pressure drops at least 24 millibars within 24 hours. So basically like a rapid drop in pressure in the central part of the storm. A low pressure system that achieves this mark becomes known as a bomb cyclone. Meteorologists also use the phrase bomb out to describe the phenomenon. The rapid drop in air pressure means the storm intensifies very quickly and can create large impacts such as heavy snow, rain, high winds, and coastal flooding. Okay, so let's go to Zoom Earth really quick. You can see it here. So it is basically there almost already. Here's France, here's the UK, here's Ireland, and it's basically this area right here. It looks like it's just starting to hit in that area. I'm going to skip that. This is from Zoom Earth. A concerning forecast for coastal Brittany, France. Wind gusts there are very likely to exceed 160 kilometers per hour, which is 100 miles per hour, which, remember, that would be the equivalent of a Category 2 hurricane. I don't know how often that happens, but so like flooding and stuff from Storm Sirion has not started yet. It's on its way, but it has not started yet. So before Storm Sirion, there has been some flooding taking place in Northern Ireland. This is from weather.com. Storm slams Northern Ireland. Not the same storm. This is before Storm Sirion. Storm slams Northern Ireland with unprecedented flooding. So let's take a look at that. Kirkhill Harbor in Newry, Northern Ireland, on Monday morning. So of course, we're not talking about Ireland. We're talking about Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, but it's on the same island as Ireland. Let's go to the map. So let's leave the Middle East. And the area that we're talking about is right here. We're talking about this box right here. Okay. And you can see Newry is north of this yellow line. So this is the UK. And then south of here is Ireland. So both countries have been hit with this flash flooding. And the only cities that came up as I did my research was Newry and Carlingford. But there could be more, obviously, that just haven't come up or haven't been reported. So this one's in Newry in the UK, Northern Ireland. Awful flooding yesterday in McCartan Bros shop in Newry. So that is not a good situation. Look at all that merchandise that's getting soaked with that dirty water. Looks like it's some kind of apparel shop. So I'm assuming some of this, like these white shirts, are probably going to, well, I don't know. Maybe you can wash them, but I don't know. But this would be upsetting nonetheless. Drone footage of the flooding in Newry, Northern Ireland, on Halloween. Yep, not a good situation at all. All right, there you have the people in the boat. Looks like they might be conducting rescues or something like that. Not sure. Maybe not. Maybe they're just having fun. You always have the people, though, that show up with the kayaks or the inflatable rafts. In this case, if what they're doing is just having fun, it's a rowboat. Roads turned into rivers. This is also in Newry. Vishaka Saini. More footage of the flood in Newry, Northern Ireland. There's a bench. At first I thought that this was snow, but it's not. It's sandbags. But as you can see, the sandbags, I'm not sure how much they helped because there's water on the other side of the sandbags. Okay, so Ireland, which had already earlier been hit by a storm in Cork on the 18th of October. And then you can see the United Kingdom has also been hit really bad in Scotland and then down into England. And then I think there's this one place. No, that's not in. I keep making that mistake. This is not in Wales right here, but it's pretty close to Wales. Wales is like predominantly where my dad's side of the family comes from. It's mostly Wales, but it's also some England and a little bit of Scotland, but mostly Wales. So yeah, the UK, it's not been a good month for the UK at all. Up here in Scotland, this was on the 7th of October. So this is kind of crazy to see. Okay, now we're going to go to Italy. CNN, Lake Como bursts its banks as violent storm pounds northern Italy. Let's take a look at that. Heavy floods due to extreme rains in the Milano port Garibaldi Railway station in the Milan of Italy. So here you go. Of course, you have the flooding subway. It's a very common thing to happen when you have these events. Heavy floods due to intense rains in Milan. Here you go. You have cars halfway submerged. Roads turned into rivers. Italy, video scenes of Porta Garibaldi station. What? This doesn't look like a... You know, this one, I'm a little bit more hesitant on this video because I don't recognize this account. Plus, it's called Action and Laughs, so who knows? But this video may or may not be part of this event. Sunny Sakan, due to Storm Sirian, Milan, Italy is also experiencing flood-like situation. I don't think that that's true. Let's go to, not because of Storm Sirian, because Storm Sirian is like right here. Let's go back just a few hours. Unless they're considering this right here also as part of Sirian. Here you can see Milan right there. But either way, doesn't matter because this happened. And then here's some more. All right, so now I have a blue place marker here in Milan, Italy. I'm anticipating that there's going to be more up here in France and then in the southern part of the UK. But we're probably going to have to wait about 24, maybe 48 hours before that happens. And then I'll bring you those updates. And then I just wanted to remind you, there was the flooding that took place in Yemen. We had already covered this, but I had not yet put it on the map or on my spreadsheet. So here's my spreadsheet. We have Al-Mara district in Yemen on the 24th of October. And then all on Halloween, Milan, Italy, Carlingford, Ireland, and Newry, United Kingdom. I need to go back. I know I've seen a lot of other videos, but it's so hard because sometimes like they're verifiable events and sometimes they're not. Meaning that I can't find any like good news sources that verify that it's happened. Not to say that it didn't happen, but if it's not verified by the news and if there aren't very many videos of a particular event, then it may not be too out of the ordinary for that area, or maybe it was just very, very localized to just like a very small area. So I'm only going to be covering the ones that can be verified through different news sources and that seem to have a bigger impact. So I'm aware that there's other places, like there's been videos coming out of Mecca that there's been like flooding and stuff there, but I haven't seen any news sources talking about it. And I feel like I've seen videos in the past of flooding in Mecca. I don't know if it's just kind of like a common thing when there's heavy rain and it's not really that out of the ordinary. So if you ever see something and you're like, oh, why didn't you cover this? Well, the reason why is because there's not very much to verify it, or it's just very small to a very localized area. But anyway, Yemen, I was able to verify that through a couple different sources right here. I'll put it in the description below. So, major damages caused by cyclone Tej in the Hussein district of Al-Mara. I had noted that it's interesting that Yemen had fired those missiles, and then after that, that's when this cyclone Tej hit. We've talked about the possibility of weather manipulation, and it's just interesting timing. Or it could be God. Who knows? But Yemen fired missiles, and then they got hit by this cyclone, and there's been all this heavy flooding. Widespread torrential rains are sweeping across Al-Mara, Yemen. Video shows intense rain and wind in Yemen from Cyclone Tej. Cyclone Tej unleashes flooding chaos in Al-Mara. Today's Darwin Award goes to this lot in Yemen. What were they? Let me go back to the beginning of the video. They're in a pickup truck, and then they go over this like waterfall right here. Did they know that was going to happen? Are they just trying to have fun? You wouldn't do that with a vehicle. Vehicles are expensive. Unless that was just like a complete junker. I'm assuming that they were actually trying to get across to the other side of this river. That was real. And look how close they are to this edge. Why didn't they do it like further upstream? And if the answer is that it's deeper up there, well, don't do it so close to this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope that they were all okay. Hope no one got injured too bad. Cyclone Tej intensifies into an extremely severe cyclonic storm as it makes landfall in Yemen. And the last one, terrible situation is being observed in Al-Mara Governorate, Yemen, after Cyclone Tej hit the country. We've already seen this video in a previous video that I did. But you have the dumpster that's floating away. So anyway, so those are the updates. So we added a few new place markers here. Yemen, and then we've had Milan, Italy, and then a couple new ones in Ireland and the UK. And it seems like there's going to be more. Zooming out, what's going on in the UK and Ireland seems out of the ordinary, and I think that it is. There's articles saying that this has been unprecedented. There's just been so much rainfall over this last month, and you have to wonder again: is this the result of God? Is it the result of asymmetric warfare? You know, forces that are hostile toward the West, like Russia or China, if they have those capabilities. I don't know. Just really quick, let's so let's review really quick what's happened in October. So in October, we've had a number of hurricanes hit the west coast of Mexico. So you had this up here. This was Hurricane Norma, Hurricane Lydia, and then most recently Hurricane Otis, which was a Category 5 hurricane that hit a major metropolitan area of about 1 million people. I might have to do another video on that because I have to go back and see what kind of updates there have been. And then we had down here in Brazil, the state of Santa Catarina that's had flash flooding in October. Yemen. And then we had this deadly earthquake in Afghanistan that's killed more than 2,000 people. It was a 6.3. And it was on the 7th of October of all days. We've had large protests in Warsaw, Poland. Milan, we just talked about that. And then we've had all this up here. So this large polygon right here, this is from Storm Babbitt. And then this one, let me see. I don't know if this was from a named storm or not. Doesn't look like it, but you had this flooding taking place in Scotland, aside from Storm Babbitt. And then you had this that just recently happened from this storm, not from Storm Sirion. And then, like I said, we're probably going to add even more over the next 24 hours in this area. And I think that might be it for October. There's probably more, but it's just going to take me time to find those and verify them and then put them into a video. And then let me just turn on everything that I have so far for this year. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the world. Let me take off the borders. Just all around the world. Spain has been hit really hard this year with flooding. The UK and Ireland at this point. The Mediterranean. We've had a lot of stuff going on in the U.S. Not so much flooding. There has been crazy flooding, but there's been a lot of powerful storms. Canada has had its worst wildfire season in recorded history. Louisiana had its largest wildfire in state history. Hurricanes in Mexico. Flooding in South America, but particularly in Brazil. There's been a lot of flooding in Brazil. Argentina, Colombia. Lahaina was almost completely destroyed by wildfire. There's been a lot of flooding in China, in Beijing itself, but then also down here in Hong Kong. And yeah. And I haven't captured all of it either. I haven't captured all of it. I wish I had just all the data. I wish I had everything, but I don't. These are signs of the times. A lot of these things are record-breaking events. And if they're not, they're just simply intense. More intense than usual. You see that time and time again as you look through these news stories. So, oh yeah, down here, this was also a very notable event. Cyclone Freddy. It has the world record of being the longest living cyclone / hurricane / typhoon. It's all the same thing. The longest living storm of that type, which went from all the way over here from the west coast of Australia and then hit Madagascar, Mozambique. And yeah, so it's been a very eventful year, and who knows what else is going to happen. Oh, and let's finish it off with this. There's a rocket attack right now. A rocket attack just south of Ashkelon, north of the Gaza Strip. So pray for everybody in Israel. If you have extra money, I'm supporting a charity to help with people that have been displaced in Israel, like people from southern Israel that have had to leave, have nowhere to go, and other things that help the war effort. So it's in the description below under charities. It's the first of 3 charities that I'm promoting or that I'm supporting. So consider doing that. But that'll be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.